Greetings, everyone. Tommy Hawksblood here, calling from the Big Island, Hawaii. Co-host Tina Bird, and here she is to say hello.
Hello, everyone. My name is Tina Barrett here in England, and I'm on Facebook as Tina Barrett. You can find me on Hive, Human Individuals Visited by Extraterrestrials, or the Hive Initiative. I run a little blog on there and a little community page, and so on. If you need to contact me, you can find me on Hive or Tina Barrett on Facebook, and it's just gone 8:05 here in England in the UK. And over to you, Tommy, in Hawaii.
Well, I've been doing a lot of shows lately. If anybody wants to keep up on what's really going down, I do a show on Neely Odin's Realm of Investigation. We do a pretty long show. I've been doing 4 shows already on his, and his one friend, I did a show on his. We get into the nitty-gritty of truth about spiritualism, UFO speakers, and you name it. So it's a little hardcore. Anything goes on that show, words, anything can be said. So if you're interested in going to the mainstream of beyond the limits of the normal reality, meaning beyond all censorship, come over to that show every Monday night. We might change the time, but right now it's still Monday night. But we're here today, and we're going to be talking about, I don't know if you read the preview or anything, but people talk like they know something about what they're talking about. I mean, everything people say in these conferences, workshops, it all sounds good. If you don't have anything to prove it against it in your own personal experience, how do you believe it or not? Most people accept it. So I've been doing a debate, open line debate. Last week I had one famous person come on, but next week maybe, or within the next couple of weeks, I'm going to be debating all the major speakers. We had Dr. Turi on. He was only on for a few minutes, but Laura Eisenhower and all those kind of people. I mean, I want to face them face to face or computer to computer and actually get into the facts about what people are saying and what people are believing. So I mention it. I always mention it. Tina is one of the people I believe totally. She has a lot of proof of what she experienced. She's going through a lot of withdrawals from what's going on with her body from it. So I don't think anybody else has more actual things to say about it because she's still being abducted rather recently. So it's not like a one-time thing 20, 30 years ago, and it was like some kind of a dream, but she experienced it way too much and has to live life as normal as she can with all this stuff going on. But so it's usually Tina and me. I have a couple guests come on, but I don't bring too many speakers on this show because, like I said, I only want to bring people that I can totally trust, totally believe in, and there's not too many people out there that I do. So I want Tina to go into just real roughly how she got here, what she went through to get here, because new people might be listening. They don't know who you are and why you claim anything, but she's been in this 90% of her life, so listen to her. This is her experience. You don't have to go into too long, but give her a rough idea of what you went through.
Okay, so first of all, I'd just like to say that there are 2 categories of people. There are alien contactees and alien abductees. I like to class myself as the latter because if you're taken against your will or without your permission, then you're an abductee. And if you're taken against your will, it's not necessarily going to be nice. It's not horrific, but it's absolutely scary, and you don't consent to it. So I am an abductee. Experience in my book is something nice, and you can have bad and good, and then you can have horrific. It started for me as a younger child, about 6 years old. One of my first experiences was being at home in a pink dressing gown, dead of night, and my bathroom light was on in my house, in my family house, and my bedroom door was open. And just got out of bed, didn't want to wake me up, went down to the hall and went to take a couple of steps out of my bedroom, and this light just came down. This big bright white light filled the hallway, came through the ceiling, straight through the floor, and there was a huge face that covered the doorway. And literally I tried to turn to run into my bedroom to get away from it, and it shot towards me and I blacked out. And that was my first real experience. I don't remember anything after that. And then sometimes you know, you could have weeks, months, or days in between experiences, or years, you know, and years of nothing happening, and it kind of leaves you, and you don't think nothing of it. And then there are experiences when you wake up in the night and you've got marks on your body and you clearly remember things going on, or other times it's bright white light and you feel you're flying. But I never really said anything with my experiences until I was a lot older, into my late mid-40s. I never really felt the need to, until my partner became seriously ill, and that kind of was like the topping on the cake, really, or the straw that broke the camel's back. And I reached out to everyone. I didn't know anything about the ufology or the UFO field or how it worked. I just thought everyone thought you was going to be crazy, but I wanted help. I didn't really want to tell my story. Abductees, you get a not like a passion, but once you get it out, you're fine. Once it's out of you, you feel fine. You've got an urge to tell something. It's like, not tell your story, but you're meant to tell something, or you're meant to do something, and it's to get it out. So I contacted a gentleman by the name of Gary Heseltine, and I had to research that for like a couple of days, and I managed to get a number or an email address, and I contacted him, and I thought, he's going to think I'm crazy. He's an ex-policeman. I thought he's going to think I'm nuts. And he messaged me back to say, look, I don't deal with abductions. He deals with sightings, but I can put you in touch with someone that helps. And I couldn't believe it. So I contacted a gentleman called David Hodron. He's the chairman of the UFO Group Association, and he writes a piece for the UFO Truth magazine. And he was really interested. He could help me. He found help for my partner. We went through my history. It took like a year and a half, maybe just under 2 years. It took a long time and a couple of meetings over the phone. And my experiences were like beings talking to me, coming to my home, taking me, being on different like ships with them, on being restrained on tables. You can't move. People say, oh, why didn't you talk to me? You can't move. You know, they go, oh, take your phone with you and get evidence. You can't move when they take you. So out of different places, I've seen babies. I've seen loads of other people up there. There's hundreds of other people up there awake, but like they're asleep. And that was really how my story came to be, and it came to light. And I had to have some operations to put some things right, and because of the things that have happened, I've had some underlying health conditions from it. But I had, like, you know, pictures and photographs over the years I've kept, and just things. It wasn't really, a lot of abductees don't say anything, but it was purely because my partner became, I woke up one evening and there was this thing next to the bed, and there was a bluey green light next to the bed about 2 feet away from me, and there was this being, like, it just stood there, different from what I'd seen before, really thinner than like an 8 or 10-year-old kid, and a bit taller than my bedpost. And my partner had gone. The sheets had pulled back, and this thing was just there, bent like over at a different angle, like a weird angle from his hips. And my partner had gone, and I was frozen, and then it knew I was awake. And then when my partner, when I woke, next thing I woke up, and my partner was there, sat up in bed, and the first words out of his mouth was, my throat hurts. And I thought, oh my God, do I tell him what's happened? Is he going to remember? And from then, me and him, our health deteriorated a lot, quite seriously. And within a week of each other, he was having chest pains, I was having chest pains, I was vomiting blood and lots of other issues. And went to the doctor, I think to A&E, and then saw a specialist who gave me the camera down the throat, and to say that I'd had this huge ulcer, like scarring and some black stuff inside my tummy, and they measured it and they give you a print out of it. Well, a week later, I went back because my partner was ill. He was worse than me, but his appointment wasn't until a week later. And on his appointment, when we went back, it was the same doctor, same professor, same specialist that saw me. And he said, hello, Tina, what are you doing? I said, my partner's here. He said, what, two of you in the same household with the same symptoms? I'm like, yeah. He said, well, that's interesting. We'll have a look. And when they took my partner in and he came out, he said, you both got identical marks at the same depth inside your body. So we have those, and you can view them on the BFOG abduction case report website, and that's all on recorded on my case file. And that's really how I come into it, to help people, because when I was taken, there's no help for me. Growing up, you're too frightened to tell parents, or people think you're crazy, or when you're young, it kind of leaves you unless they come back to take you. But when you remember, I don't think you're meant to remember. So when you remember, and remember things, you remember being taken, you remember what's going on around you, and they can talk to me. They talk to you. When they lean over to look at you, and when they come up close to your face, that's to see if you can link with them. And I can link with them. I don't know how you do it. It's like a grey mist and like a Wi-Fi. And I just thought, if I'm very I think I'm a level-headed person, but you still need someone to talk to when it's coming out, and you're talking to like an investigator or a researcher. They take your story, and like David tried to help my partner, and I just wanted some information to find out, if it's going to happen to anyone else, and was there help. But there's nothing for me to talk to. No help, no like help groups, nothing. And all this, if it wasn't for the national health, and if I lived in America or another country where I couldn't get medical help, then I'd be completely buggered. And that's really how my story came about, and that's why I created Hive, human individuals visited by extraterrestrials. So if anyone ever wants some help, or I can point you in the right direction, then that's my kind of story. I don't ask people to believe. Alien abduction is not a religion; it is something that is actually happening. So you don't need to believe it. People are experiencing it, and not many. Thousands, hundreds of thousands of people are experiencing this. It's real. So there you go.
Well, the truth is, like, a lot more people can come out now without being called crazy and delusional and everything else. So it's a lot more accepted than it was 50 years ago. But about 30 years ago, I was working with people that were abducted, lost their children, and things like that. It's not like it's new. But in the New Age world, with all these UFO conferences, they try to shy away from all the bad things. And they try to promote good things. Whether they're real or not, it's a different story. But they try to say they're coming to help us. They will help us. They're doing this. They're doing that. But from my overview point, from the people that I know directly, that I worked with and stuff, never had anything positive happen. I did a conference with one person who said that one alien race worked with him all the time. And I said, how did they help you? And he said, well, they pulled me out of a car accident. I said, well, what else did they do you? And he said he couldn't name one other thing. I said, they're always with you. They're always helping you. Do what? Oh, just things. I said, what just things? People tell stories. When you confront them and push them into it to get details, you can't. Even Walter Travis has one of the most documented story, made a movie out of it. And his story's still twisted. He doesn't know what's happening. Didn't know what really happened. And he's still trying to figure it out. But he's doing all these other things. He pulls out this giant hand now. That's the healing hand. I mean, people take it, and because they use that as an excuse to being spiritual, which is mind-boggling in my viewpoint. Because you get abducted doesn't make you spiritual. No matter what they say and do to you, it's not making you a spiritual person. But these people, I did another conference with a woman. She was on a ship. She was monitoring the ships for the government. And then he took her on a ship and brought her to the moon, but she was raped on the ship. And aliens were on it and all these other things. And I was going to work with her. When she lectured, she'd start crying every time she started lecturing. So she didn't even overcome it. And a year later, I had her on my show. She just wrote a book on being a healer and all that. So suddenly everybody just uses that to convert themselves to be a healer. But it would be nice if we all became healers. But healing of what? We can't heal people's karma. People got to do that themselves. And that's why we all get what we get. I mean, we're living on this planet to work out our karma. We do the things we have to do to get through it, hopefully to get out of this realm so that we don't have to reincarnate again. But aliens aren't teaching us that. They're not showing us, protecting us from things like that. So I had a good friend. I had a couple good friends. They're all dead, missing. One of them actually worked on 2 of the ships that we have that go to Mars. And that was years ago. So when Trump come out and says he wants to be president when we go to Mars, we already went there. So, people say things. When you hear the president say something stupid, it's really mind-boggling. He's got the whole population of the United States listening to him. And he's saying,
but here again, I think he's limited to what he can say. And I'm just keeping an eye on your live chat there, Tommy. But yeah, but I think Yeah, I think President Trump is limited to what he can say. But again, I'm not American. I can just look from the outside in. And yes, there might be friendly aliens. I'm not saying they're all horrific, but the ones I've met is, they've dragged me out of bed in the middle of the night and taken me against my will and done operations inside my body. Whether that's helped me or not, I doubt it. It hasn't felt like they've helped me. And it's when they drug you and you wake up and the stuff that they're using to subdue you doesn't work on you, it's absolutely terrifying. And to think you're going to lay there and a creature comes out of nowhere and you think it's going to eat you and you're powerless to move, or they're drilling holes in your stomach or chest and you see blood spurting out, that's a little bit hard. I wouldn't call that friendly. But
well, the word friendly,
mm.
we're not friendly with Russia, we're not friendly with Japan, we're not friendly with China. We deal with them, all right? And we're the same race. So why would anybody perceive a totally different race that eats different things, that live a different way, would have any concept of why and the way we live, or even accept it?
You got good and bad humans, yeah.
The number one thing, every creature that has a body needs food. Nothing else, spiritual, religious, and all those things, it's not needed, but food is. And all these people that say their experiences always have this good experience to tell us. Now, and I did implant removals for a couple of years. I didn't want to do it. I didn't want to stay doing that. But what I noticed, people are programmed. Now, the reason why I wanted to debate Laura Eisenhower, she doesn't even know what her father was actually doing. I mean, her mother must have told her some things, but I don't even think her mother knew what was really going down. Because when you're in that vein as president, you can't say things to your family, and you don't want to, because you don't want to put them at risk.
Sorry, Tommy, I was just getting called to another channel. They're trying to get through to ask some questions on my other Facebook page. Sorry, I am here. I'm just going to flip over a second.
Okay, no problem.
Continue on.
Here's the thing. Eisenhower and Truman were responsible for two major things. One of them was for creating Majestic 12, and Majestic 12 overrode the presidency. But they created it for a reason. So when people talk about it, I had a friend that was in Majestic 12. He died. He was going to give us something right before he died. But the truth of that, they had the truth. The president didn't. I mean, when you saw the first movie where he goes, oh, the president only gets to the information when it's a need to know, and there's no need for him to know anything right now. What would Trump do with alien knowledge right now? Hey, I want them to vote for me. But again, we're dealing with people that say that it's a great experience. What is a great experience? Being programmed is all they're getting. Because I listened to these speakers 5, 10 years later, the program is bigger. More things happen. More things were going down. They know more things now. And the bottom line is, what do you know now? What's going to help us in any way? And nobody says anything important. Why is that? I mean, even Billy Myers, check out who he is. As one of the oldest UFO people. He did some stupid things that brought his name down, but he was really big a long time ago. He had pictures of videos and ships and all that. I'm not saying everything was fake. He did fake some things, which took people away. But you got a question you want to read? I mean, he's writing a lot.
No, there's a couple of questions there. So I just want to answer to one of them. 817 question. I would like to. I would expect them to be competitive with each other for our trust or friendship and resources. So what end of that spectrum are you looking at? I like to really, I'm looking at it from my spectrum. So just supposing Tommy is Jack the Ripper and you befriend him and he says to you, I can get you blood and I can get you DNA and I can get you gold. Do you want 50% of what I'm ever going to get? But in return, I get to cut up who I want, take who I want, rape them, rob them, and give you the proceeds. Now, is that sharing your resources and gaining that person's trust? I call that a conspiracy. If they want to be friends, then they wouldn't be taking people, and in the middle of the night they wouldn't be taking your children from their bedrooms and drilling holes in their stomach and taking their DNA, and they wouldn't be taking your children from you and in all the horrific things that they do. They're probably nice people if you get to meet them, but so is Count Dracula. It depends what end of the stick you're looking at.
You mentioned Bashar. All right, I met him personally, and I went to ask him a question, and he wouldn't answer it. Here's the thing: you can tell a great story, and you can make it sound interesting and everything else, but does it help? Now, go back to the first psychic who was working with an alien, J.J. Knight. All right, she was channeling this being. All right, and she went on all these things. People believed it. She got people to sell everything to come out to her ranch and buy her $1 million horses. When they found out she was faking things later on, she disappeared. She resprouted, came back out. She has these retreats all over the world, making tons of money. But look what she did for mankind. Anything? Did she bring any real truth to save us, to help us in any way? So when Bashar talks, I mean, he goes on and on. I can tell you another person from Australia who was doing the same thing. And
There's loads of them out there, fake people.
But he was going to the East City Ranch, and I warned him. I said, when you go out there, you better watch out because you're going to be caught by a lot of different creatures. And even, what's his name? I'm not going to say his name. That owns the East City Ranch, James Gillen. But he went out there. I listened to his speak because he did a 3-day conference with James Gillen. And I listened to his lies. He even said then the world will be destroyed in 1.5 years. And that didn't happen. But I mean, when these people come out and say these really big, dramatic experiences are going to happen to the world, they don't happen. It's not going to be up to an alien to decide if the world gets destroyed. That's for sure. Is it going to be up to the people? Well, we're coming pretty close to destroying the people on the planet, not the planet itself.
Well, I think we're close to destroying both. And with the amount of junk in space, you're infecting outer space with our rubbish as well.
Well, I don't think anybody was looking at the that stupid collider, what it's actually doing. I mean, until recent information is exposing what it really does and what it is. And
Hadron Collider.
Yeah, they're actually saying the people involved with this Luciferian cult that's creating it and working on it. And it's bizarre when you go into the magnetic field of that. I'm not sure if it's the right number, but I'll say 100 times greater than the magnetic field on planet Earth.
Didn't they just recently find a tree that was so old they dug up out of the ground that had the rings from where the last magnetic shift happened, polar shift?
You know how many rings it would have to be if they had a tree?
This thing was huge. I had a picture of it.
Well, even if it was 20 feet wide and you put rings from the center to the outer side and say each one was a year, right? Look at how many rings would have to be there to go beyond.
Look at the bulldozer, Tommy. It looks huge.
But I'm just saying, no matter how big the tree is, the amount of rings, how many rings could you put next to each other to make it 10 billion years ago or whatever? So our history, our facts are delusional in my viewpoint. They can't even come up with a date. They can't even prove certain things like when was Buddha born? When was Jesus born? Where was he actually born? It's still debate right now.
Bethlehem.
Well, they only can actually change it because they said he was born somewhere else, and now they've proved that he was born there.
He was born in a stable.
No, he wasn't. There was no stable there in the town. He was born in a cave. But here's the thing. Let's go further back.
In the cave.
Huh?
Did he die in the cave? All right.
One in a cave. So let's go further back. When the first race came here and why they were destroyed. When the second race came here, why were they destroyed? When the third race came here, why were they destroyed?
One of the things I want to talk about, which you just brought up actually tonight. So in the Martian atmosphere, by the way, thank you to whoever sent me the post from it was about Mars atmosphere. I asked last week on the show if anyone could message me or let me know about the Martian atmosphere and why we are green atmospheres. So going back to what Tommy has just said, it's Doyle Rice from the USA Today on 17th of June 2020 at 3:38 p.m. Put a bit out in the USA Today online paper, or I'm not sure if it's the paper or online paper, to say all about. So any explanation you want to know about the Martian atmosphere they discovered is on there. And also going back to the first race that Tommy is on about, if perhaps they were on Mars before they came here, because there's a program on called NASA UFO Files or NASA Files. And if you have a look, one of the ones I think was last week or the week before was actually about Mars and how old it was. When they went back to Mars, when they first the rover landed, they took some samples and radiation levels. They get a certain chemical on the element periodic table that is only found when they do a radioactive explosion. When they let off a bomb, they get this atom you get from radiation, after it's exploded. And they found this to be 300 million years old before mankind. So who was up there? And you can only get this thing from nuclear explosions. So it was not man-made. Who, from what planet and what race of people was letting off nuclear weapons, or what war? Because they found such a substantial amount. They reckon it's some type of nuclear war that wiped Mars out. And NASA has proof of that. So you need to watch NASA Files. Tommy, over to you. So that's how old they are. You carry on.
Nuclear weapons probably did exist a long time ago. Remember, when they exploded the atom, they created the atom bomb. And did you ever? I saw the machine that actually does it. I was right next to it, and it's a giant machine to explode something so microscopic. Imagine the technology they could have had when they built pyramids, or even way before that, when this planet was with different life forms on it. What kind of tools they had, where they came from, how much more they're advanced. See, when destruction happens, it takes all those things away. If the world was pretty much destroyed, we'd have to recreate all the things we have. I mean, if the people with the knowledge were alive, we could do it rather easy. But say just the children were left. All the adults were killed and then just children were left. They'd have to think and recreate things now and start all over. Or if like there was a show on, I'm watching it now, they're going to release this gas that can brainwash and actually deprogram everybody in the United States.
Children today are born with more brain capacity and more intelligent than Neanderthals. So when Neanderthals had nothing, no computers.
Well, wait.
They made a go from nothing. Why couldn't modern humans do that?
Well, they weren't humans. We didn't come from them. See, that's a scientific belief, and it's not true at all. But going before that, the races that were here, I mean, the giants, they had a totally different reality. Why do you think they built buildings so big and everything? Because they were little people? I mean, what if they were all 2 feet tall? Would they build 25-foot ceilings? See, you have to look at what was created, why it was created. They still have no reason why the pyramids were really created. And you figure, all those people working to build a pyramid, where were those people living? How did they eat? I mean, if this is built in the desert, I mean,
where are they buried? They found no grave sites, have they either?
Well, they found one of the pyramids in Egypt. They found 125 skeletons that they embalmed, and they showed how they embalm people. They break the jaw open, they cut the skull open, they take the brain out, and I said, why would somebody want to come back to a body like that? I mean, the whole idea is so stupid. But then again,
I think they did it to stop you coming back. I think they're reading those books wrong, Tommy.
Well, but again, you don't come back to the same body, no matter who you were being taught by. But I'm just showing you the negativity, the ignorance that they had at that time. They were still sacrificing people to God, to their so-called God. It was an alien friend of theirs, I guess, that wanted it. So you have to look at, and when they say our resources and the Anunnaki, all those stories are based on gold. We got more gold than we ever had.
I just want to, with your friend Tinfoil Hat Wearer, yeah, like you were just saying, a replicator is worth its weight in gold. Human beings are replicators. They replicate DNA. They are a blood resource, a bone marrow resource, a white red cell resource, human tissue resource. We're worth more than our weight in gold. We are replicators. Carry on, Tommy.
See, I saw what he put in the chat room. He was saying, like, if they want our planet, we're going to fight for it. Well, we are going to fight for our planet. There's no doubt about that. our government, U.S. government, Russian government, already had 3 major wars with aliens in space. They're stopping us from being invaded. Do they want to tell the world that? No, they don't want to show how bad it really is. But right now, they're preparing for the motherships to come. I dealt with 2 people here in Hawaii.
I think they're already here.
No, the motherships would take cover the whole planet like you see in the movies.
I've seen one near Jupiter.
Well, we destroyed many little ships, and that's what they said we've been doing. I saw 2 get blown up a couple years ago.
Got another person in your chat room. Hello there.
Well, he's our friend. He's a friend of mine. Most you can come on if you want, but here's the thing. Disappearing, that's what's the thing. But we have to look at what they can really offer us.
Yeah.
We can do the things we need to do here on this planet that we can do.
So I've got a question for you, Tommy. That's a very good question. They're not offering us anything. If they are, they're not offering the human race. They're taking our human resources and lives, and they're giving it back to a select few. So I'm not sure if you call that oppression or lying or what it is, or perhaps they're not doing it at all. Perhaps our government is what you say, defenseless, but they're offering nothing back to humankind that I can see. They're just taking it when they want.
Okay, he wants to listen, Sasha. But all right, taking and giving. They've been taking a lot. Truman and Eisenhower are responsible for that. All right, because they didn't know how to fight alien races at that time anyway. I mean, we did learn. We learned a lot. Because of Tesla's technology, we were able to stop 2 major wars. We teleported on their ships and went out run to them and said, stop. And that would have been it. We could have just slaughtered them because they weren't prepared for that to happen. But as far as the ships I saw get blown up in Hawaii, there was 2 within about 45 minutes. So, and I talked to the people in the underground base here, and they said, yeah, well, we're knocking the little ships off, but within a year and a half, 2 years, which should be coming up soon, the mothership will come here, and then we don't know what to do, how we're going to destroy that. Or get.
We probably got no defense against that.
Well, we probably won't, but I just said it, I wrote it in the chat room. If you ever saw the movie V, this TV series, if you didn't see it, you need to watch it. I mean, if you know
afraid of salt water.
What was that?
Aren't they afraid of salt water?
No.
Was that something another program?
The movie called The Triffids, they were afraid of salt water.
I thought it was V. I'm sure it was V.
V was the one where they covered the planet and they said, we're going to be friends, we're going to heal you. And
they couldn't swim in the water. They couldn't swim in the water. I don't know.
They made all these eggs and they were going to produce this whole colony. And then they were going to feed everybody use everybody as food. But the whole thing is you believe that they're really helping heal people and training them to be on their ships and all these things. And it becomes incredibly interesting because the whole time you don't know what they're really doing. When somebody says your friend, and if they're really trying to use you, like in the one phrase is always keep your enemies close, right? Closer than your friends.
The human race is too divided. They're not. The human race should act together. We are one race, and we act like God knows what. And then God knows what we look like to other aliens or other races. Well, human race is
what he put in the chat room? Did he put? You see what he put in the chat room about the flashlight? Well, I have a super bright flashlight, and I watched the ship about 5 days ago. I saw about 3 of them. So I said, "Wow, that's cool." I didn't even have my camera. I wasn't planning on recording anything. And all of a sudden, this bright ship comes cruising along pretty fast. I hit it with a green laser.
Oh, your little laser. Yeah.
Turned into a giant green ball of light. And it was moving.
Reacting to you. Well, you were communicating, but you don't know what you were saying.
And then it moved a little further, and it turned back to a ball of white light and started moving again. And I hit it again, and it turned into another green ball of light. I was blown away. Because now people say, well, I've been dealing with light ships blinking at me. All right. Now, if you take a ship, what are they using to blink? What kind of light? How would they direct it? Just follow what I'm saying. How would they direct it directly to me? If you're a ship going this way, right? And here I am on it over here. How do they direct and make this giant ball of light blinked towards me. So I'm saying the whole ship has to light up. When I saw this ship turn green, the whole ship had to turn to a green ball of light. So it's interfering with the energy field that's around it. And then, like when they blast the beam, how's that energy field release that beam in a straight direction to go? I mean, I had Morse code coming back at me from the ship. I blinked Morse code at it, and then it blinked it back at me.
My only experience with because I've seen like you see them flying about out there all the time, just come outside and look up. But when I was on one of the smaller ships, well, I say it's smaller, it wasn't. When I saw the pods, when I saw all those black pods, and to lure me away from them, they showed me this light that went around the ship, and it was it looked red, like a red flash, but as it went along like the floor underneath me, it was like in the floor but under it, and it was like a red pulse, and it got bigger as it went round, and it went round the ship. And they explained that's how they release their energy. It goes round into the ship, like into this box, and like through these three things, and there's like a carrier wave on it. And then it's like reusable energies. They speed it up, then they slow it down, and as it comes out, rejoins the carrier wave and shoots around the ship. That makes the red flashing light. That's what I understood from what they showed me.
I dealt with Fred Bell, and he was responsible for working on two ships. One was called the Aurora, and one was the Delphi. Both alien ships that are capable of going back and forth to Mars really fast. All right. He ended up being killed by the government. So he did a show with Jesse Ventura. He got warned, and then he was killed 2 days later. But no, I dealt with many people in the UFO world. The important people, I'm going to do a show on it maybe today or later. Maybe I'll continue the show. I don't know. But basically, these people had information. And when people that are out there mainstream breaking it out and trying to give us truth, they're still talking about Roswell like it was the most important situation on the planet. It wasn't. The Philadelphia experiment started the problem which happened in Wanaka, New Jersey, which was the worst event that happened on this planet totally.
What happened? Where is the Eldridge now? Did it reappear? Do they have it, or is it completely disappeared?
The Eldridge came back. But here's the thing.
Where is it being stored or held?
I don't know where they got it right now. Type it, just ask the machine. Hold on, let's see if it gives us an answer.
I remember the name.
Eldridge now.
I pulled up some videos for you.
Oh, you got to watch these videos. Forget that. Not now. But check it out. See, it's somewhere. But here's the thing. I was friends with the person that went back in time. Good friends with him. All right. He's one of the only people that I believe that went back and came back and was asked to go back again. They offered him $4 million when I knew him to go back in time. Because when they went back, there was a whole fleet and crew of people, and they all ended up disappearing. But they killed somebody when they went back there. And he had to go back and kill 2 other people so that family didn't become part of what it is today. I kind of know he went back. I don't know if he killed the person or not. But because when he came back, he looked about 25 years younger. He looked like he was 80 years old when I was dealing with him. And the next time I saw him, his skin was pink, his hair was colored, his eyes were bright and wide and all those kind of things. So he actually went back and reversed his age. But he did tell me the government's going to kill him, and he gave me the date. He was killed, I think, 10 days after the date he gave me. I mean, he was sick and a lot of things going on, but they kept tabs of him. So getting back to the point, all these UFO people that were important are missing, dead, in jail, that I know. And they were the important people in the UFO world from the beginning. Bob Dean was probably one of the coolest persons in the UFO world out of them all. But then you go into Sean David Martin, my good friend's in jail, and they're doing everything to kill him. But all these other people, I'm going to just say, the person in Long Island, John Ford, filmed the most incredible video of a UFO crash on Long Island. And he's in the nut house. They won't let him out. They won't let him go to trial. He needs to go to trial to get out. And every time they go to trial, they go, we got to reevaluate him so he doesn't get to go to trial. But there's horrible things happening to anybody. But a friend of mine, Bob Sylvester, who is involved with NASA disappeared. His whole family disappeared. I can go on. The list, I have about 8 friends. I mean, even 2 people that I knew in the East SETI group that were killed, the president and vice president. So, truth is there. And people say, why isn't the truth come out? Because all these whistleblowers that are coming out have twisted programmed stories. You can join the Army, you join the Navy now, you get an implant, whether you know you have it or not. They can terminate you whenever they want. It's not a game to them. The whole UFO game world is not a game to them. But they're not here to protect the poor people, and they're not here to protect the middle class people. It's all about protecting the high, rich people. Now, what bothers me, and please, people, start checking into this. Wake up. There's so many underground bases and civilizations inside the United States that are real. You need to check on that. Why? Why don't they even talk about it?
Has anyone heard anything from Antarctica lately? That went quite well. Down there.
They removed all the people that were saying it. Even the astronaut that went there, he got deathly sick, and they flew him out of there. He said, "Oh, I saw an alien," and you don't hear nothing else now. So they're covering that up to max. But that's
they blanketed that out, didn't they?
But see, a problem with that, Russia's involved with that. So it's a combination of the United States and Russia. See, people don't know the connection between the secret government and the real government. Putin's in between the middle of both. So Trump's in the middle of both. So what's going on in up there? It's mind-boggling, because they did say this giant.
We are just cattle to them. We are just cattle to them.
But we don't know what they're doing. But like I said, they need food, and people are good food for them. So would they want it? And people say, well, if they wanted to destroy us, they would. Yeah, if they wanted to destroy us, they would. It's that simple. But they don't. But what do they want us for? To study how we have relationships, which we can't even have anymore? How we have sex? I mean, we go to the animal kingdom, you can see it better than the human race. So it's like, what do they think? What do you think we could give them? See, they don't have feelings and emotions. That's the one thing that separates almost all alien races from humans. They don't have the emotional body that we have, the 5 senses that the human body has. You think they care what they eat and how good it tastes, sugar and salt and spice and all those things. I mean, go to the planet, see how they eat, see what they eat, see how they eat it. Aliens can't eat. Gray aliens don't eat with their mouth, just so you know. They turn the body into liquid and drink it through their pores. Now, when Phil Snyder, read the story of Phil Snyder, when he went into the base, they found, I think, 140,000 skeletons.
Yeah, there wasn't the ant people saying they were like beings that looked like ants, and did he shoot acid out of its chest or something?
Well, the Greys killed them. All right. And they basically, the government was working with Evie, all right, the one alien that they kept alive for a while. They had to kill him because he was controlling all the Greys, and they believed that he was doing what they told him to tell them. Little did they know he wasn't. He was bringing the bodies down there, feeding them, and all kinds of things. So there was a lot going on in between all that. So Phil Snyder's got scrunched up, said he committed suicide. He wrapped himself up in barbed wire.
He was dying anyway, wouldn't he? Why would you want to wrap yourself up in wire when you're dying of cancer?
See, cancer is a make-believe word. Man created cancer. All right, just so you know. All right. I'll just mention it briefly. I was friends with a person from Majestic 12. When we were supposed to meet, he said he was going to give us honey. If you watch the movie X-Files, the real movie, the first movie they put out, the X-Files movie, watch it. Look at what happened in that whole movie. It's based on facts, believe it or not. Everything about the X-Files was actual facts that happened. Every story was based on a police file. People don't understand that. I mean, when they showed the guy exploding, we have people that explode. I mean, that's not an imaginary idea either.
Yeah, people catch fire and that, don't they? Yeah.
It's self-explosion. But getting back to the whole alien thing, it was about her getting bit by the bee, and then basically they took her. But basically, what were they doing? Mining honey. Now, this person from Majestic 12 offered me the honey. And what he told us, it destroys and kills every sickness on this planet.
Your Manuka honey, that's supposed to have a really good healing property. I know honey's a very good healer.
But he was supposed to give it to us, and he was killed. So we never saw him again. Never got to meet with him. So, but again, the stories that he said and what was going on is contradictory because, again, he was higher than the presidency. What they did, they created and did what they want. All that money they took out, nobody can count it. They just took it. So it was mind-boggling how we got to this point. Now it's Majestic 33 or 32, sorry, and nobody knows who they are. I mean, I don't know the rest of them anymore or anything about them, but they're the ones that control what's happened. They control the wars. Now, a good friend of mine who's in jail, they're killing him. A good friend, a friend I knew for a while, and we worked together. I helped him a lot. He's in jail. They blinded him. He's got cancer. He needs all these things done. They raped him. You name it, what they did to him. They moved him into the worst prison there is in Texas so that he can't be near anybody. They want him to die, but they don't want to kill him. So he's supposed to go to court. He was supposed to go to court 2 weeks ago. I don't know if it happened or not. I have nobody telling me anything. I don't deal with talking to people in prison. I don't want to go through the communication of their line. But I'm waiting to hear something on that. Kerry Cassidy has been staying pretty close to his information. So maybe she'll put something out in the next month if he's going to get out or anything good's going to happen for him. But he owes the government $450,000 if he gets out. And then he's going to need all these major operations. So we'll see what happens with that. That's just one person. But all the other people I know are dead or completely missing. So John Ford is in Long Island in that house. I mean, he's still dealing with UFO magazines and stuff. So they're not going to say he's sane. They're never going to say that. Leonard Peltier, now a totally different story, but he's the head of the Native American movement. He's in jail for 45 years now. And they won't let him out. There's no proof he did anything. I mean, he's going to be dying soon. And it's like, we tried to get him out. We marched on the UN and everything. Then the FEMA marched on the White House saying, if you let him out, we're all going to resign. I mean, they hate him because they said he killed 2 FBI agents when they killed 2 Native people on their land where they weren't supposed to be. And there was all kinds of guns firing. The bullets that killed the 2 FBI agents wasn't the gun that he had. So they set people up when it had anything pertaining to serious truth that's going to change your reality in any way, they block it. So all these UFO people with their stories, if anything was even close to the truth, they wouldn't be able to say it. You think they're going to tell what's going on Mars, really? Are they going to tell why they're working on Mars?
Well, it's interesting fact too. The last comment on there, it's saying about bees and the insects, and there's very few in Michigan. There's very few bees and insects now all over the world. I know the ant population has risen, I think, but bees are dying off around the world. Bees are a massive part of the food chain. If the bees that are pollinators all die off, the human life on this earth, the food chain will just collapse.
2 things happen.
Are these aliens harvesting bees, honey, insects, their DNA, and are they populating other planets with it and letting us die?
Bees are dying in great numbers.
Yeah, they are.
And they still got the killer bees out now here in the United States again. But also bats were dying. My brother lived up in New York State. All the bats in the caves were dying. Bats are fruit flies. I mean, they're just like bees. They pollinate the plants. They pollinate a lot of
things. Some of them are rabies.
No, it's not about rabies. It's about they populate. They spread their poop on things, and it pollinates and things like that. It's just like the bees. So, but the food industry, vegetables and fruits are deteriorating. They have no vitamins, and they're deteriorating in numbers. And with the weather, it's going to even be even worse. I mean, the chemtrails is destroying the ground. So there's a reason why they're doing that. Why do you think these giant movements live underground? They got hydroponics farming, which means they don't need sunlight. They don't need anything else. It just grows in the air. So they got the most advanced technology for food. Their vegetables are probably 99% more vitamins in each one of them than we do on anything we eat. The same as everything is purified. The only thing I could say, when a disaster hits, they're going to get hit just as much as anybody else will. Spirit doesn't let bad and good separate. It takes them out when it takes them out. Like when Noah's Ark supposedly happened, it took out a big percentage of the population. When we go back to, Sodom and Gomorrah, when that was going down, they took out a population. So it's not good and bad. And it's like the army saying, kill them all and let God sort it out. Well, that's the way it does go down. Sadly, when a tsunami hits a state, everybody dies or half of the people. Were they all bad or were they all good or half and half? Or they get over this good and bad. Yeah, when they all get taken out at the same time because their karma will put them where they need to be. Karma is a friend if you're good, and since it's an enemy if you're bad. So depending on what kind of a lifetime you want to come back to, if you have to come back in reincarnation or not. So I don't want to get into religion right now. I know you don't like to talk about religion too much, but aliens don't like to talk about it either. I mean, they want to convince the world that they're God, and the Anunnaki is one that thinks they are, and try to program us to believe they created us. And the old question is, well, like Superman when he was carrying her up in the air, and she goes, "Who's carrying you?" After he goes, "I'm carrying you." Well, she goes, "Who's carrying you?" But when an alien race comes and they say they made us, just say to them, "Well, who made you?" We made ourselves. The Big Bang, and we were here. So the stories are always fitting the ego of the people that are telling the story. So sorry, and just so you know, Tina and I are very unattached to ego. We're not doing this for power, money, fame, fortune, or any of those words. We're just doing it to put the truth out there. She had serious things all her life. I did as well. And I had direct experiences she did. So if you want to hear about an experience, don't go to people that read other people's books. They don't know what it feels like. They don't know what it is. And you really can't describe an experience in detail so that somebody else can experience it. For me to describe love to you, are you going to understand the way I love somebody? No. So it's an experience. Life is an experience. And unless you can experience certain things, you'll never know what they are. Fear. I mean, being in a real fear situation where your life's in danger, holding on by a couple of seconds, and you suddenly fear. Then you'll understand what fear really is. I mean, well, I jumped up on them and boo! Oh, I was afraid. No, you just, for a second. So we need to start focusing on where do we go from here? Well, I'm doing a couple of spiritual classes, which I feel is important. Tina and I are putting the truth down about aliens, good and bad. Now, the only thing proven so far that aliens did for a couple periods of time, short periods of time, like an hour, they dismantled a couple nuclear ships. All right. Well, does that mean anything? It just means to tell people that they can control what we think we can do against them. But that was years ago. And we did work on, we know how to kill greys. We know how to kill reptilians. I mean, there's a specific way, like you said, like the one aliens was afraid of salt water. Well, things are afraid of certain things. Certain things affect everybody, or certain things are being affected by certain things else, other than themselves. So we need to be aware that
they're not radar.
Well, the government's not on our side directly. They are
They
trying
don't like radar or sound reverberation, do they?
They're trying to save the planet. Now, Putin said, and I'll say this over and over until somebody hears me, Putin said they're working with 37 alien races. 2 of them want to destroy the planet. So, the good and bad do not work together.
Mankind wants to destroy this planet. Have you seen what they're chucking in the oceans lately? How long has the COVID been going on? Off the coast of some country today on the news, they've been fishing trawlers. Actually, at the other side of the channel, the British channel there, they've found face masks, PPE, gloves all thrown in the water. They're either chucking them overboard ship or someone's pipeline's leaking. It's all disease stuff they're throwing into the water that the wildlife in the sea is going to eat. For God's sake, what's wrong with people?
Well, this is what happens in New Jersey. They said we get the red tide, and it used to come in once or twice in the summer, right? And they gave you the story. It was because the sun was blocked by algae in the water and things like that. Little years later, they admitted when they took all these medical junk and dumped it out in the ocean and formed this mass of algae, chemical, toxic waste. And when certain currents come by, it would rip that off and bring it into shore. And that was what the red tide was, because when the red tide was in, you weren't allowed to go swimming because your skin would burn and all kinds of things. So, the delusional stories you always hear are not even close to the truth ever. because once the truth comes out and people say, well, the government's going to give us the truth, how can they? And Eisenhower goes on. I said, look, your father is responsible for so many deaths of people, so many abductions, and guess what? And you're saying it's okay, it was right, and he was out protecting the planet? No, he wasn't. Nobody was. They were trying to save their butt by saying, well, if you take 10,000 people a year, you can't do anything else, but you got to give us something back. Well, I say the same thing, aliens. You want something from me? Give me something back. You want
They're
to borrow?
taking more than I've seen just in one. I've seen hundreds of people up there. They're awake but asleep, so they're obviously taking more than 10,000 people a year. I can tell you that.
See, it's like here's a number, 10,000. On
Yeah.
fishing boats, they're only allowed to kill 10,000 dolphins a year. On the tuna boats, who counts them?
Mm.
You think the captain's going to say how many dolphins did we kill? Write that down. How many dolphins did we kill? Only when there's an inspector on there, they say, oh, we killed 10 dolphins today. But they don't say how many they kill in a year's time, ever. And they won't. But the number is 10,000. I mean, you always hear 10,000 people when we say 10,000. It's like whoever came up with that number, why would it be 10,000? But we're at a crossroads, right? We're running out of time, Tina. I don't know.
Yeah, no, just looking at a question. Someone's asking me a question. That's okay. Yep, go for it. Sorry, Tommy. Carry on.
So we don't have too much time, but please, you want any information, talk to us, Tina or me. We'll go into the information, but questions, answers, whatever you want to give us, please do. I'm open. We'll come on a show if you want to really get into a debate or talk or release something that you think you know. We'd love to hear it. Like I said, I don't like fake whistleblowers, fake storytellers.
We'll be asking you lots of questions about your experience. So
yeah, we'll get into it if you want to bring it out. But thank you for tuning in. Send this link to everybody we know. Help us get it growing out there. We need more people to be involved with what's happening.
Like and share, people.
So with that, Tommy Hawksblood here. I'm going to give it back over to Tina to say her farewell.
So goodbye from me, Tina Bird, here in Southampton in the UK, and from Hive, Human Individuals Visited by Extraterrestrials. You can find me on Facebook. I run a little blog, Hive Initiative, and you can contact me or Tommy on encounters or here on Tommy's show. We do it every week on a Tuesday evening. So if you have any questions, you can email us, contact Tommy, message me, or even come on the show. Please do so. Any phenomenon topic, we will give it a go. So it's good night and good evening here from me in the UK. Over to Tommy, and it's been a pleasure to everyone. And thank you to our callers.
It's been a pleasure, Tina. Till next time, feel good, stay safe if you can. Keep those guys from flying over you.
Thanks. I'll try. Thank you very much, guys. Bye. Thank you, callers. See you later, Tommy. See you next week, guys. Bye-bye.
Well, I'm glad you tuned in today. We'll be dealing with a couple different things next week. So I just want to say I have been doing these other shows. If you want to get into the spiritual side of things, tune into Neely Odin's Realm of Investigation on Mondays. It's live for 2-3 hours, depending on how it goes. I'm a rebel. I'm hardcore. I like to debate facts and truth and what's really going on. But the bottom line is, if you want to know if it's true or not, look at the world. World's peaceful now? No, it's not. World's filled with love? No, it's not. So don't tell yourself something that's not real. Don't let these people tell you to believe in this and it's going to make it happen. No, it doesn't happen. Unless we eliminate world government, recreate a spiritual movement of some kind. But again, how do people judge spirituality? Most people don't even know what it means. So until that happens, and they respect something outside of themselves. Ego is not to be respected. It's to be used, but not to be respected. Because ego will go bigger and bigger and bigger if you let it. It'll control everything that you think you know and feel. So with that, I hope you enjoy the show. I have a lot more to get into in the next couple of weeks. We're going to bring, I have one other person I'd like to bring on, and he's an exorcist. What's it have to do with aliens? Because people get abducted by aliens in a psychic way. So there's so many things that people don't know unless you get the right people that are dealing with the truth. He does it for a living. That's what he does 365 days a year. So he knows what he's talking about. He's been doing it a long time. Not somebody that read 2 books on this and says, well, they know it all. No, it's not about that. So with that, I'm not going to go any further with this show. So please send the link to anybody you know. Let them come in, tune in, get involved. It's open. My books are available on hawksblood1aol.com. My first 2 books I'll send you as an ebook for free if you want it. My newest book, The True Teachings of Jesus from God Realization, to me is the most important thing I've ever written. And whether people ever want to accept it, their choice. It's the truth, and it's the truth about Jesus, which isn't in the Bible. All right? So with that, peace, love, compassion, whatever you need in your life, hope you get it, hope you find it, and hope it fulfills you for the rest of this time and on this lifetime. So until next time.